Have you ever wondered how far someone would go for their faith? Let's dive into the incredible and inspiring stories of Jesus' apostles, men who faced persecution, torture, and even death because they believed in something greater than themselves. This video will reveal how each apostle faced their final moments, showcasing the true essence of sacrifice and courage. In this video, you'll uncover fascinating and little-known details about the last hours of these great men of faith. We'll explore how their unwavering devotion and courage in the face of adversity can offer powerful lessons for our spiritual lives today. Get ready to be moved and inspired by stories of faith that have crossed centuries and still resonate deeply in our hearts. Are you ready to delve into a story that can transform your perspective on faith and sacrifice? Want to know how the example of the apostles can strengthen your own spiritual journey? Then stay with us and discover how these martyrs teach us to face our own challenges with courage and hope. Let's embark on this journey of faith and inspiration together. The 12 apostles were Jesus' closest followers, handpicked by him to learn from his teachings and spread his message around the world. Each apostle had a special role in Jesus' ministry, and their stories are key to understanding the New Testament and Christianity. Peter, originally named Simon, was a fisherman and is known as the leader of the apostles. Jesus called him Peter, which means a rock, and said that on this rock he would build his church. Andrew, Peter's brother, was also a fisherman and one of the first to follow Jesus. James and John, sons of Zebedee, were known as the sons of thunder because of their fiery temperaments. They too were fishermen and among Jesus' closest apostles. Philip was called by Jesus right after Peter and Andrew and is known for his curiosity and questions. Bartholomew, also called Nathanael, was praised by Jesus for his honesty and integrity. Thomas is famous for doubting Jesus' resurrection until he saw his wounds, earning the nickname Doubting Thomas. Matthew, a former tax collector, left his profession to follow Jesus and wrote the Gospel of Matthew. James the Less, son of Alphaeus, is less mentioned in the Bible but was one of the chosen apostles. Thaddeus, also called Judas, son of James, is remembered for his sincere questions to Jesus. Simon the Zealot was part of a radical Jewish group before following Jesus. Judas Iscariot is sadly infamous for betraying Jesus, handing him over to the authorities for 30 pieces of silver, leading to Jesus' crucifixion. The 12 apostles played a crucial role in Jesus' ministry and the formation of the early church. They were eyewitnesses to his teachings, miracles, death, and resurrection. After Jesus' ascension, the apostles traveled the world to preach the gospel, establish churches, and spread the Christian faith. Their acts and writings are fundamental to the history and doctrine of Christianity, inspiring millions to this day. The apostles lived in ancient Palestine, a region under Roman rule. The society at that time was marked by political and religious tensions, with Jews awaiting the arrival of a Messiah to free them from Roman oppression. Daily life was tough, with many people working in agriculture, fishing, and trade. The apostles, many of whom were fishermen or tax collectors, came from humble backgrounds and faced the challenges of life under Roman occupation. During Jesus' 3-year ministry, the apostles traveled with him through Galilee, Judea, and other regions. They witnessed miracles, heard his teachings, and learned about the kingdom of God. Jesus trained them to continue his work, teaching them the importance of love, faith, and serving others. He prepared the apostles to be leaders and to spread his message after he was gone. After the resurrection, Jesus gave the apostles a clear and important mission: to preach the gospel to all nations. This mission, known as the Great Commission, is recorded in Matthew 28:19-20, where Jesus instructs the apostles to make disciples of all nations, baptizing them and teaching them to obey everything he had commanded. This monumental task meant the apostles would need to travel, face dangers, and dedicate their lives to spreading the Christian faith. A crucial moment for the apostles was the day of Pentecost, which occurred 50 days after Jesus' resurrection. On that day, while they were gathered in Jerusalem, the Holy Spirit descended upon them, giving them power and courage to begin their mission. They started preaching with great fervor, and thousands of people converted to Christianity. This event marked the beginning of the early church and the fulfillment of Jesus' promise to send a comforter. The apostles' mission had a profound and lasting impact. They established churches, wrote letters that became part of the New Testament, and faced persecution for their faith. Their efforts not only spread Christianity throughout the Roman Empire, but also laid the foundation for the Christian faith as we know it today. The legacy of the apostles continues to inspire and guide millions of believers around the world, showcasing the transformative power of Jesus' message. The deaths of the apostles. Peter, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, is known for his dedication and leadership in the early church. According to Christian tradition, Peter faced persecution during Emperor Nero's reign in Rome. His unshakable faith and commitment to Jesus' message made him a central figure in the growth of Christianity, but also a target for Roman authorities who viewed Christians as a threat. When Peter was captured, he was sentenced to crucifixion, one of the most brutal forms of execution at the time. However, Peter asked to be crucified upside down, because he didn't consider himself worthy to die in the same manner as Jesus. This request was granted, and he was nailed to an inverted cross, suffering a painful death. This act of profound humility and sacrifice became a powerful symbol of his devotion and humility. Peter's upside-down crucifixion is remembered as a testament to his faith and courage. He chose a more painful death rather than be compared to Jesus in crucifixion. This story has inspired many Christians over the centuries, highlighting Peter's unwavering commitment to his principles and his willingness to suffer for his faith. St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican is traditionally considered the site of his martyrdom and burial, making it one of the most sacred places for Christians worldwide. Andrew, one of the 12 apostles, is remembered not only for being one of the first to follow Jesus, but also for his tragic and courageous death. According to Christian tradition, Andrew was crucified in a city called Patras in Greece. He was sentenced to death for preaching Christianity and refusing to renounce his faith. Unlike the traditional cross, Andrew was crucified on an X-shaped cross, often called the St. Andrew's cross. This shape is significant because Andrew felt unworthy to be crucified on the same type of cross as Jesus. He was tied, not nailed, to this cross, prolonging his suffering as crucifixion could take days to bring about death. Andrew's crucifixion is a powerful reminder of his dedication and faith. Even in the face of death, Andrew continued to preach and encourage those around him to follow Jesus. His courage and devotion inspire Christians worldwide, and the St. Andrew's cross has become a symbol of humility and sacrifice. Andrew's life and death show the depth of his faith and his willingness to sacrifice everything for his beliefs. James the Greater, also known as James, son of Zebedee, was one of the 12 apostles and one of Jesus' earliest followers. He was the brother of John and, along with Peter and John, part of Jesus' inner circle. James is known for his fervent faith and witnessing many of Jesus' miracles. Around AD 44, during the reign of Herod Agrippa I, Christianity began to grow and spread, causing concern among Jewish and Roman authorities. To please Jewish leaders and assert his power, Herod Agrippa I ordered the execution of James the Greater. James was arrested and, without a fair trial, condemned to death. James the Greater was beheaded, becoming the first apostle to be martyred. His death marked a turning point for the early Christian community, demonstrating the severity of the persecution they would face. James' legacy is a testament to his courage and unwavering faith. His willingness to die for his beliefs continues to inspire Christians worldwide, reminding us of the price many paid to spread Jesus' message. John, one of the 12 apostles and brother of James the Greater, is known for being the author of the Gospel of John, the letters of John, and Revelation. Unlike many of the other apostles, John was not martyred. He lived to an old age and died of natural causes in Ephesus, an important city in ancient Asia Minor, now part of Turkey. Although John died of natural causes, he was not spared from persecution. According to tradition, John was imprisoned and brought to Rome, where he faced attempts at martyrdom. One of the most well-known stories is that he was thrown into a pot of boiling oil, but miraculously emerged unharmed. After this event, he was exiled to the island of Patmos, where he wrote Revelation. John's life is an example of faith and resilience. His survival from martyrdom attempts and long life allowed him to contribute significantly to the New Testament. His writings are fundamental to Christian theology, addressing deep themes such as love, truth, and divine revelation. John's natural death, after a life dedicated to Jesus' service, highlights divine protection and perseverance in faith. Philip, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, dedicated his life to preaching the gospel in various parts of the ancient world. He is known for his missionary journeys and zeal in spreading Christ's message. One of his main missions was in Phrygia, a region in Asia Minor, where he faced significant opposition because of his faith. In Phrygia, Philip encountered strong resistance from local authorities and followers of pagan religions. Despite the dangers, Philip continued to preach and convert many people to Christianity. His dedication to his mission eventually led to his arrest. The local authorities, troubled by his growing number of followers, decided to make an example of him to discourage other Christians. Philip was sentenced to death by crucifixion, a cruel and common form of execution at the time. He was tied to a cross, not nailed, which prolonged his suffering. Even while being crucified, Philip continued to preach and encourage those around him to keep their faith in Jesus. His death was a powerful testimony of his dedication and courage, inspiring many to persevere in their Christian faith. Bartholomew, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, also known as Nathanael, dedicated his life to spreading Christianity. He traveled to various regions, including India and Armenia, preaching the gospel and converting many to the Christian faith. His dedication and success in spreading Jesus' message eventually attracted the ire of local authorities. On one of these missions in Armenia, Bartholomew faced severe persecution. The local authorities, angered by the increasing number of conversions to Christianity, decided Bartholomew should be punished as an example. He was captured and subjected to brutal torture. He was flayed alive, a process that involves removing the skin while the victim is still alive. After this cruel torture, Bartholomew was beheaded, ending his suffering. His death was a testament to his deep faith and commitment to Jesus' mission. Bartholomew's martyrdom is remembered as an example of courage and dedication to the Christian faith, inspiring generations of believers to persevere in their faith despite extreme adversity. His story is a powerful reminder of the cost of true discipleship and the strength of Christian witness. Matthew, also known as Levi, was one of Jesus' 12 apostles and is traditionally credited as the author of the Gospel of Matthew. Before following Jesus, Matthew worked as a tax collector, a profession despised by Jews of the time. His conversion and subsequent dedication to Jesus' ministry are a powerful testimony to transformation and commitment to Christian faith. After Jesus' ascension, Matthew traveled to preach the gospel in various regions, including Ethiopia and Persia. According to tradition, his preaching and success in converting many people attracted hostility from local authorities. In one of these places, Matthew faced fierce opposition, which culminated in his death. Although accounts vary, it is widely accepted that Matthew was martyred. Some accounts suggest he was stabbed to death, while others indicate he was beheaded. Matthew's death, whether by stabbing or beheading, demonstrates his profound faith and commitment to Jesus' mission. His martyrdom is a testimony to the persecution faced by early Christians and the courage needed to uphold faith amid extreme adversity. Matthew's legacy continues to inspire Christians worldwide, reminding them of the importance of dedication and sacrifice in the path of faith. His life and death exemplify the transformation and redemption that can occur when one fully surrenders to Jesus' message. Thomas, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, is perhaps best known for his initial doubt about Jesus' resurrection, earning him the nickname Doubting Thomas. However, after Jesus' resurrection, Thomas became a fervent missionary. He traveled far, taking the gospel to India, where he is credited with establishing a lasting Christian community. Thomas's preaching in India was met with great success, but also with opposition. He converted many to Christianity, which angered local authorities and religious leaders. On one of these missions, Thomas faced strong resistance, leading to his tragic death. According to tradition, Thomas was martyred by being pierced with spears by local soldiers who wanted to silence him and stop the spread of Christianity. Thomas's death by spears in India is remembered as an act of martyrdom and a testament to his courage and faith. Knowing the dangers he would face, he continued to preach the gospel until his last breath. Thomas's legacy lives on in the Christian community he helped establish in India, known as the Mar Thoma Church. His story inspires Christians worldwide to persevere in faith regardless of the adversities and dangers they may face. James the Less, also known as James, son of Alphaeus, was one of Jesus' 12 apostles and played a significant role in the early church in Jerusalem. He is often identified as the author of the Epistle of James in the New Testament. James the Less was known for his piety and leadership, earning respect among both Jews and Christians. According to tradition, James the Less met a tragic end due to his faith and Christian leadership. He was taken to the pinnacle of the temple in Jerusalem and, before a crowd, was challenged to deny his faith in Jesus. When he courageously reaffirmed his belief, he was thrown from the top of the temple. Miraculously, James survived the initial fall, but his enemies, determined to end his life, began to stone him. He continued to pray and ask for forgiveness for his attackers until a final blow with a club killed him. James the Less's death is a powerful testament to his unwavering faith and dedication to Jesus Christ. His martyrdom demonstrates the intense persecution faced by the early Christians and the courage needed to lead the church under such circumstances. James the Less is remembered as an example of devotion and pious leadership, inspiring Christians to remain steadfast in their faith despite great adversity and danger. His legacy endures through the writings he left and the stories of his life and death, which continue to motivate and strengthen the Christian community. Jude Thaddeus, also known as Thaddeus or Lebbaeus, was one of Jesus' 12 apostles and is often confused with Judas Iscariot, the traitor. He is known for his dedication and zeal in preaching the gospel. After Jesus' ascension, Jude Thaddeus traveled to various regions to spread the Christian message, including Persia, where he played a crucial role in converting many to Christianity. In Persia, Jude Thaddeus faced fierce resistance from local leaders who opposed his preaching. He and another apostle, Simon, worked together to establish the Christian faith in the region, facing many challenges. According to tradition, Jude Thaddeus's mission in Persia ended tragically when he was martyred. The Persian authorities, angered by his success in converting people, captured him and he was brutally murdered, being beaten with clubs and then beheaded. Jude Thaddeus's death in Persia is remembered as an example of his courage and dedication to the Christian faith. His martyrdom highlights the dangers the early apostles faced in spreading Jesus' message. Jude Thaddeus is venerated as a saint in both the Catholic and Orthodox churches, and is often invoked as the patron saint of hopeless causes and desperate situations. His life and death continue to inspire Christians to follow their faith with determination and to face adversity with courage. Simon the Zealot, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, was known for his fervor and zeal. The nickname Zealot suggests he may have been part of a radical group opposing Roman rule over Judea. However, after meeting Jesus, Simon dedicated his life to preaching the gospel. He traveled extensively to spread the Christian message, taking the faith to distant places and facing many challenges along the way. Traditions about Simon the Zealot's death vary, but they all agree he met a tragic end because of his faith. Some traditions say he was sawn in half, an extremely painful and brutal form of execution. Other traditions claim he was crucified, similar to his master, Jesus. Both forms of martyrdom show the intensity of the persecution Simon faced and his courage in continuing to preach until the end. Simon the Zealot's death, whether by being sawn in half or crucified, is a testament to his unwavering devotion to Jesus Christ. His martyrdom highlights the extreme sacrifices the early apostles made to spread the Christian faith. Simon the Zealot is remembered as an example of courage and determination, inspiring Christians to persevere in their faith, regardless of adversity. His life and death continue to motivate believers worldwide to follow Jesus' path with fervor and dedication. Judas Iscariot is one of the most infamous figures in the New Testament, known for betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. Judas was one of the 12 apostles, chosen by Jesus to follow and learn from him. However, influenced by motives that are still debated, Judas decided to hand Jesus over to the religious leaders who sought his death. His betrayal occurred in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he identified Jesus to the soldiers with a kiss. After Jesus' arrest and betrayal, Judas was overwhelmed with remorse. He tried to return the 30 pieces of silver to the religious leaders, admitting he had betrayed innocent blood. When the leaders refused to take the money back, Judas threw the silver into the temple and fled, desperate and filled with guilt over what he had done. Consumed by guilt and despair, Judas Iscariot hanged himself, ending his life in a tragic manner. This act of suicide is described in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 27:3-5. Judas's death is a somber reminder of the consequences of betrayal and the inability to deal with remorse. His story serves as a powerful warning about the dangers of letting greed and despair dominate one's life and highlights the importance of forgiveness and redemption, which are central themes in Jesus' message. Courage and dedication of the apostles. The apostles of Jesus are remembered not only for the miracles and teachings they witnessed, but also for their courage and dedication in spreading Jesus' message. After Jesus' resurrection, they faced countless difficulties and dangers, but never wavered from their mission. This determination is a powerful testament to their faith and commitment. From the start, the apostles knew their mission wouldn't be easy. They faced constant persecution from both Roman authorities and Jewish religious leaders. Peter and John, for example, were arrested and beaten for preaching about Jesus in Jerusalem. Despite this, they continued to preach with even more fervor, showing unwavering courage. The dedication of the apostles often led to the ultimate sacrifice, their own lives. James the Greater was beheaded by order of Herod Agrippa I, becoming the first apostle to be martyred. This act of violence, rather than discouraging the other apostles, seemed to strengthen their determination to continue Jesus' mission. The apostles traveled to distant and unknown places to spread the Christian message. Thomas, for instance, went all the way to India, where he was eventually martyred. These journeys were full of dangers, including diseases, bandits, and harsh weather conditions. Yet, the apostles faced all these challenges with determination. The apostles' faith never wavered, even in the face of severe trials. Paul, who joined the apostles after a conversion experience, faced numerous imprisonments, beatings, and shipwrecks. He wrote letters encouraging Christians to keep their faith, demonstrating that his own faith was unshakable. Stories like Peter's, who continued to preach knowing he would be crucified, or Andrew's, who was tied to an X-shaped cross, highlight the apostles' courage. They were willing to suffer and die because they deeply believed in Jesus' message and the promise of eternal life. The courage and dedication of the apostles serve as an inspiration for Christians of all generations. They showed that with faith and determination, any challenge can be faced. Their willingness to suffer for their faith also reminds us of the importance of maintaining integrity and devotion, no matter the circumstances. The legacy of the apostles continues to influence Christianity today. Their stories of courage and sacrifice are told in churches around the world, and their writings form a crucial part of the New Testament. They left us a powerful example of how to live with faith and dedication, demonstrating that truly following Jesus may require great sacrifices, but also brings great spiritual rewards.